Hey YouTube, this is Ziggy J, and once again I'm going to do a very different video. I don't really post a lot on my channel, but this is a video that I think needs to be made, or rather a sound recording that is going to be uploaded in the form of a video that needs to be made. The topic of this video is going to be weave, and one of the biggest, opponents of it, one of the biggest naysayers of weave, we all know who he is Tommy Sotomayor. Now, I don't have anything against Tommy otherwise. Do I like Tommy? I don't have an opinion on him one way or another. Honestly, he makes videos about issues he sees in the black community. That's fine, that's cool, whatever. However, he does talk a lot about weave, and the points that he makes about weave are not very strong and are not very convincing. So I have written down a little script so I can kind of keep track of the points that I want to kind of talk about and address that he tends to make. So the point one is weave wearers being self-haters. So first, what we need to do is we need to define what self-hating is. And we need to define what it is according to psychology. Because whenever you say that someone is self-hating or self-loathing, you're saying that there's something abnormal about their psychology. So what does psychology tend to say about self-hate? What are the symptoms of someone who is self-loathing? Well, some of the symptoms of someone who might be self-loathing are depression, anxiety, low production or no production, meaning that you're not very productive in life. You don't go to school, you don't go to work, you don't pay your bills, you don't take care of your responsibilities day to day. Also self-harming, things like cutting yourself, overdosing on alcohol and drugs, just abusing your body. Overeating can be a form of depression, can be a form of self-hate as well. So that being said, do weave wearers, or black women who typically wear weave, do they exude these characteristics? Well, no. And you can also make a point. Tommy has said in his videos before that black women tend to have very high self-esteem. They tend to think they are 10s. They tend to think that they're very attractive. And a lot of these women tend to have weave. So, on average, are black women depressed? Well, I'm pretty sure there are some black women who are depressed. But are black women who wear weaves depressed? Well, we would need some kind of a study done on that. I don't think that there's a study that exists. If there is one, link it in the comment section below. Do black women who wear weaves, do they have anxiety? I'm sure some black women have anxiety, but is that exclusive to black women who wear weaves? It's left to be seen. I don't think there's enough evidence of that. Are they productive in their lives? Well, black mothers who tend to wear weave tend to take care of their kids. They go to work, they go to school, they cook, they clean. Even black women who don't have kids, they still tend to go to school, go to work, and pay their bills. I'm pretty sure there are some black women who are self-harming. Is that exclusive to black women who wear weaves? There's no proof of that. So these are characteristics of someone who's self-hating. Someone who is just really don't care about their lives. They kind of lay in bed, sit in bed, really do nothing all day because they really don't have the motivation to do anything. These are some of the characteristics of someone who's self-loathing. There's probably more. But those are the glaring ones that psychologists tend to kind of look at. Can it be said that those are characteristics that weave wearers have and other black women don't? I would have to say no about that. So also, let's not forget, there are also natural hair black women who wear weaves as protective styles. Now, there are some people, commonly a small minority of black men, who don't really understand the natural hair community. They're not a part of it, so they don't know what goes on in the natural hair community. But I'll clue you in. There's something that's called protective styling. Because when you have afro-textured hair tends to break off very easily, it tends to dry very easily. So you have to protect the ends of the hair. As much as some of us would love to, We can't just go all day with our hair in a big afro, go to sleep that way, and think that our hair is going to grow. No, it's going to break off. So what protective styling is you have to protect the ends of your hair so that you can retain length. So one way you can do this is you can braid up your hair. You can fold it and make a bun and make sure that the ends are protected. Or you can cover the ends. And one way some natural hair women cover their ends of their hair is through a wig or a weave. So there are a lot of black women in the natural hair community who have natural hair, but still wear weave and wigs so that they can give their hair a break or wear a style that they want to wear while protecting the ends of their hair. So, is this natural hair woman a self-hater on Monday when she decides to wear a weave, and then love herself on Saturday when she decides to wear her afro? You be the judge. Okay, so point 2. Another point that Tommy brings up in general about weaves is health issues. Health issues regarding the scalp, its pH balance, scalp diseases, and things like that. Well, it seems like the improper application of weaves can cause issues, and of course, neglecting the hair underneath does also. Many natural hair women use weaves and wigs for protective styling and have no issues. Many women wear weaves in general and have no issues relating to the weave. It seems like Tommy kind of cherry picks the extremes to make a point while ignoring the majority. And let's not forget relaxers. Relaxers are way more damaging to the hair than weaves, and to the scalp, mind you. You have to actually wear an applicator. There's a gel that you have to put on the edge of your hair before you apply the relaxer so that it doesn't get on your skin and burn through your skin. If you watched Chris Tucker's movie, is it Chris Tucker? Not Chris Tucker, Chris Rock's movie, Good Hair. There was a scene in it where I guess he went to some kind of a lab where a doctor took the main ingredient. I'm sorry if I sound ignorant and I don't know exactly what these ingredients are. But he took the main active ingredient in the relaxer and literally put it on the skin of a chicken breast. And I believe in like a couple of minutes, it literally ate through the skin of that chicken breast. Also, relaxers change the actual chemical compounds of the hair. It breaks down the protein. So let's say that you wanted to wear a weave one day and wanted to go back natural the other day. Well, you can. With the relaxer, you can't do that because once you relax the hair, it's never going to return back to its natural state. You have to cut it off or grow it out. So to me, relaxers are a lot more dangerous. They literally eat through your skin if left on your skin too long. Tommy has addressed relaxers here and there very loosely, but not as severely as he has weaves, which is interesting because relaxers actually pose the greater health risk. Of course, if you leave a weave in too long or is not applied correctly, you're going to have issues. That has to do with more of neglecting your hair and not knowing how to apply a weave properly or a wig properly than it does with the weave itself. So it has more to do with the woman, not the weave. All right. So point 3 that Tommy commonly makes is $1 billion business. Tommy raves a lot about the amount of money being spent on weave and how this is an issue. Poor spending habits is an issue in the black community in general. This is not a good argument against weave, especially when Tommy has supported Afro-textured weaves. That's right. Tommy is in support of Afro-textured weaves. He says that, well, at least it looks like your hair. At least if you put in an Afro-textured weave, it looks like your hair. But what about the health risks that, and I know this is point 3, but let's go back to point 2. What about the health risks that are involved? Now, of course, Tommy is against health risks. I don't think that he would be in favor of health risks, even whether it was Afro or straight textured weave. But still, weave is weave, right? Money is spent on both. Sure, I'm pretty sure weave from Brazil probably comes at a higher cost than, weave from Africa. That's Afro-textured. But money is money. Money is being spent on hair regardless of the texture. So if you're okay with Afro-textured weaves and okay with women spending money on that, then you should be okay with women spending money on straight textured weaves as well. You can't be for one and not the other. That's called special pleading. And that is a logical fallacy. It's dishonest to push bad. It's also dishonest to push bad spending habits on one area of the black community. Black people spend money very frivolously on shoes, jewelry, cars, housing, and sex. So by sex I mean things like going to the strip club, things like that. So if we need to address the bad habits that black people make in general regarding financing. This is not a weave problem. This is a bad money spending problem, because guess what? If black women weren't spending money on weave, they would be spending money on something else. All right, and this is point 4, which is the biggest point, I think, the most important point, and that is the self-esteem of little black girls. So Tommy has 2 daughters. So I can understand his desire to keep them safe and keep their self-esteem intact. However, implying that a black woman who wears weave will ruin the self-esteem of her daughter is just not backed up by any studies, and Tommy has not provided any either. Many natural hair women describe being natural up until about the age of 13, when suddenly they want a sew-in or a relaxer. They explain that this was the hairstyle that was popular in their school, and they wanted to fit in, much like most kids around that age do. I think this has more to do with society preferring straight hair than it does with black women who wear weaves or black mothers who wear weaves. Tommy has also stated that he was fine with relaxers because at least it's her own hair. So you're fine with the chemical being used to change the texture of afro hair, but not a wig or a weave. So a black woman with relaxed hair, it's fine for her self-esteem, but it's not fine for her to wear a weave for her daughter's self-esteem. Both are changing the texture of the hair. Relaxers change the texture of the hair to straight. Weave doesn't really change the texture of the hair. You're just putting something over your hair. So both of those are expressing or putting out there that straight hair, I guess, is preferred. Again, I don't agree with this, but this is his logic. So if he's fine with relaxers, because at least it's her own hair, but not fine with weaves, again, which pretty much still comes off as a different texture of hair, that's still contradictory, and it's still, for the most part, it's still special pleading. And, of course, there are no links or any kind of studies that show this. If he has any studies, he has not presented this. Tommy tends to talk a lot about things that is kind of common sense, but he doesn't really provide studies about these things. Now, all in all, I have natural hair, and I've been natural for 9 years. But I notice a trend with people who tend to attack weaves. It tends to be a small, kind of loud minority of black men who really have no idea about hair in general. They don't participate in the natural hair community. They probably don't even have natural hair. And they tend to seem to want to just beat up on black women about anything. If it wasn't hair, it would be attitudes. If it wasn't attitudes, it would be weight. If it wasn't weight, it would be something. Weaves is just something that they can attack because really, weaves is really minute compared to all the other more pressing issues in the black community. Why not go after something that really all you can do is bark about it instead of actually tackling big pressing issues? The arguments that I've heard for, or rather against weave, have just kind of been emotional, contradictory. They haven't really proven any points. So if you guys have any questions about anything I've said, any points that have been brought up in my responses to those, leave them in the comments section. Thanks for listening.